Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Circus, Afro circus, Afro circus, Afro polka dot, Afro.
Hello and welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. It's really strange me doing the Blu-ray and DVD section of the show. I'm so used to doing the cinema part. Coming up we have the Blu-ray and DVD top 10 and a lot of reviews which include...
Yes, we have the Perks of Being a Wallflower. I'm just going to say the titles, I'm not going to, because we haven't got time. Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted, Savages, Sinister, To Rome with Love, Beasts of the Southern Wild, Ruby Sparks, and The Three Stooges, and then our TV movie of the week.
Which is...
We'll say that when we get to it.
You're going to keep people in suspense, are you?
Yeah, why not?
Lovely. Right, because we've got so many films to review, let's do the DVD and Blu-ray top 10. Number 10, Lawless.
Which is a disappointingly sort of average film with a great cast, but pretty, well, poor writing. Looks really nice. Good performances from people, but it's just there's not enough there. It really isn't. It's unfortunately a waste of talent.
Yeah, number 9, Dread.
Which is a fantastic film, which you need to see if you haven't. It should have done a lot better than it did, and it's really uber violent, but as it should be. And it's Carl Urban absolutely on top form as Dredd.
Yeah, number 8, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Which I absolutely love. Stuart just thought it was just the Spider-Man. Didn't think it was that good. But it's got sort of mixed reactions from people. I think it's the best Spider-Man film to date, better than Sam Raimi's ones. Andrew Garfield is fantastic as Spider-Man. As Peter Parker. He's perfect in the part. I didn't have any problems with the Lizard villain. And I think if you're a fan of Marvel, you owe this to check it out at least, because you should enjoy it, I think.
Yeah, while we're on that, before I quickly get on number 7, I've just seen there that Arrow has been renewed for a second series. It's a superhero kind of thing, so that's interesting. So
yeah,
Supernatural.
That's DC though. That's DC though.
Supernatural's been renewed for another series as well.
Wow, that's surprising. Okay.
Yeah, I've just seen that as well. So
that's TV though. That's TV.
I know. I just saw them and I thought I'd quickly announce them there. Back to the chart, number 7, Paranorman.
Absolutely fantastic stop motion animation, best animated film of last year, no doubt. Great sort of animated horror film as well. It can be watched with kids because it is only, I think it's a PG, isn't it? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Or is it 12? Yeah. It is a PG, but younger audiences, very younger audiences, will be scared by parts of it. It is, though, a great piece of work. The 3D on it is a bit disappointing, though, because it's not quite that good in it.
And number 6, The Sweeney.
Which is a perfectly fine action film, really. A British action film, made for $2 million and looks like it was made for a lot more. It's not absolutely bang up fantastic, but it's a really good average police thriller with some good action sequences and a great performance from Ray Winstone at the core of it.
Yeah, and who would have thought that Danny Dyer was supposed to have been in the film?
Oh god, that would have been... Because imagine Danny Dyer in Plan B's role. Oh,
yeah, he was actually going to be playing Plan B's role. The reason why Nick Love decided not to get Danny Dyer into the film is because he thought that he hadn't made a good film.
Yay!
So he didn't deserve the role. Which I thought was interesting. Number 5, and you went for Anna Karenina.
We haven't seen this, so I can't comment on this, but it's the one with... I forgot her name. I can see her, but I can't think of her name. Who was in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Keira Knightley.
Yes. She's in it, and Aaron... I'm losing
Johnson?
names now. Yes, from Kick-Ass. Is in the movie as well. From what I hear, they both give really good performances, and it's a great adaptation of this story, which has been adapted how many times? I don't know, but it's...
Too many.
It's... Yeah, too many. But so from what I hear, it is a very good adaptation.
Yeah, number 4, Resident Evil Retribution.
Which is a series that needs to end a movie ago, because this one is really awful. It's got a great opening scene but then it has the literal reset button pressed and just turned into a 90-minute action film, which is starting to get like Michael Bay films and make action boring.
And number 3, Looper.
Absolutely fantastic. You have each year we've had a good intelligent science fiction movie, starting with Inception. We had Scorecode. We had Source Code, Scorecode, and then we had Looper. So if you like your science fiction intelligent, if you liked those two films, you really should check this out, because it's a great film with great performances from both Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis playing the same character. The whole thing of time travel, it does require you to pay attention, but if you do, you are rewarded throughout the film.
Number 2, and you went for Hotel Transylvania,
which is surprisingly enjoyable. Has a great voice casting performance from Adam Sandler. Don't hurt me for saying that, but yeah, Adam Sandler really is pretty good in this. And it's a fun film. It pokes fun at a lot of the contrivances of Dracula and the Wolfman and the Invisible Man and Frankenstein, all those well-known sort of horror characters. And this is one you can watch with kids of any ages, and there's lots of fun here for everyone, and not really much that's scary, which is the thing that's great for it.
Yeah, and finally at number 1, and you went for Taken 2.
Why? Oh God, why is this at number 1? It's awful. It's cash cow. You're just going to give them more incentive to make Taken 3. It doesn't have an ounce of the story that the first one does. It doesn't have an ounce of the style that the first one does. It has about half of the action condensed down into about half of the film that the first one does. But action doesn't make a film. You need a story. You need a plot. You need to not be sitting there for 90 minutes screaming at the televisions going, "Why are you doing this? Go and do that instead." Because that's what I did when I watched this.
Yeah, I'm glad. I actually saw it at the cinema, and so if I did that, I would have been thrown out and banned from my cinema. So, yeah, I just didn't like it at all.
I did as well, but in the cinema I showed restraint. At home, I kind of lost it.
No, well, I wish people would stop saying that I bought them because I'm going to have a Liam fest. I'm not a huge fan of Liam Neeson, to be honest, and yeah. No.
I will say this: if you're absolutely looking for a Liam Neeson film out there, you want to see a film with Liam Neeson that's recent, see The Grey, because that's absolutely fantastic. But don't watch Taken 2. Just don't.
Right, we would normally go to a break right now, but because we've got 8 films to review, we thought, no, let's throw the break out the window and go straight into the first review.
Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is directed by Stephen Chbosky. It's also based on the book that he wrote as well. It's a story of Charlie, played by Logan Lerman, who is a sort of an outcast. He is the outsider at school who is entering his first year of high school. When he gets in there, he's the normal person. He sort of sits by himself at lunch. He doesn't really have any friends. No one really talks to him. He is the one who is essentially the unnoticed person in school. He then sort of starts hanging out with a couple of kids played by Ezra. Names again.
Think of my last name. Miller.
Ezra Miller, yeah. Ezra Miller. I got it there just at the same time as you did. Ezra Miller, who plays Patrick. And you have then as well Emma...
Watson.
Emma Watson. I'm really struggling with my names today. Emma Watson, who is in the film playing his stepsister. The two of them end up hanging out with him a bit and then bringing him to a party where all of them hang around, and they notice that he doesn't really have any friends. He is sort of the outsider, so they decide to do something to try and get him attention and get him in with everyone else in the group. Here's a clip.
Hey, everyone! Everybody! Raise your glasses to Charlie.
What did I do?
You didn't do anything. We just want to toast our new friend. You see things, and you understand. You're a wallflower. What is it? What's wrong?
I didn't think anyone noticed me.
Well, we didn't think there was anyone cool left to meet. So, come on, everyone, to Charlie.
To Charlie. Welcome to the island of misfit toys.
Now, there is a whole thing of that with this. It was a film that got a lot of plaudits when it was released. People have seen this and given it full 5-star reviews. I know in particular because I was actually messaging with someone earlier today about it. It's a film that is full of really good performances. Logan Lerman is great in it. Ezra Miller is the standout one. I mean, the only other thing I've seen him in before, which he was also fantastic in, was We Need to Talk About Kevin. He is as brilliant in this, if not as cold, which is it's a great performance from him.
Well, he was insanely cold in We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Exactly, yeah. Emma Watson is perfectly fine in this as well, although I have issues with her character in the last half of the film where I don't think she's especially well written for. The whole thing is sort of focusing on the issue of being an outsider, and then there are issues which to do with a subplot which comes in later in the film, which I'm not going to go into. But for me, there was just something about this, it didn't quite gel as perfectly as a lot of people have. That's not to say that it's bad, I just didn't make that connection with it that a lot of people seem to have. I don't know if this is because of... one thing I suspect it might be to do with my age. I'm 34. And it feels like one of these kind of films that if I'd seen it when I was in my early 20s or late teens, there would have been that sort of nostalgic thing about it that I would have felt with it a lot more. There's good performance in it. There's good direction in it. It's sort of fairly well written, especially the first half. It's just in the last half of it, it has issues which are to do with the story, I think. And I've nothing against it for that, but it just didn't quite work for me.
Yeah, quickly, Booger in the live chat says he watched it with his other half over the weekend and he quite enjoyed it. So I'm guessing it might have been a bit more better if you've got a partner there to watch it.
Right, I did enjoy it. Like I said, there are issues. I mean, as I know, if Booger's seen it, I'm not going to spoil it, but if Booger wants to confirm or not, did he have an issue with the story that was brought into it towards the end? I'm curious to see what someone else has to say of that. It's just that it felt kind of like it was forced in, that it didn't really belong there. But as I say, all round, there's everything there that it really has. Just for some reason, it didn't sit perfectly with me as it should have.
Okay, then let's get on to the next film, and it's for Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. It reteams up Ben Stiller, Jada Pinkett Smith, Chris Rock, and David Schwimmer, who all play Alex, Gloria, Marty, and Melman. It actually starts off where the last one ended, and they are trying to still get back to their home in the Big Apple, into the zoo where they're from, but now they've found themselves in Monte Carlo, and they are trying to get out of Monte Carlo with the help of the penguins. Here's a clip.
Okay, in exactly 2 minutes and 17 seconds, the lemurs will cut the power. No?
No.
Okay?
No.
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 I drop down, grab the penguins. You crank me up, and we are out of here.
Let me drop down. I'll grab the penguin.
You don't have fingers, Marty. No?
No.
Do it?
No.
These are things a leader has to think of.
Why should you be a leader? Why not me?
Because I'm the phase tracker.
Voted you Grand Phase Master anyway.
Me! I voted me, because I'm the leader.
Nah.
That's it, baby. No?
No.
The King of Versailles wins. Oh, wow!
Maybe I should be in charge.
Oh, man.
I am a doctor.
Oh.
No.
Why can't we all be leaders?
Enough! I'm gonna leave.
So, as you can tell in that clip, they cause a big, massive ruckus at this huge, massive party in Monte Carlo, which attracts the attention of Animal Control, specifically the head of Animal Control, voiced by Frances McDormand. And for the guys to get back to their zoo where they belong, they need to hitch a ride with this travelling circus that, to be honest, is terrible. It's a terrible travelling circus, and they need to get back to the Big Apple, and that's the best way they can think about it, and you can probably guess where it goes on from there. Now, surprisingly enough, this is a really enjoyable film. Madagascar 3, it trumps the second one. The second one's not very good at all. The first one's okay. The first one's fun. This one is just in a different league. It's very rare that you get a sequel that betters the original. It's even rarer when you get a third one that betters the first and second, and this is the case with Madagascar 3. It is the best one in the series. There is a lot of jokes in it for adults. There is a lot of jokes in it for children. The animation is done brilliantly. I'm not saying it in 3D, so I don't know how the 3D works in it. There is just... You've heard the Afro Circus song. It sticks in your mind, and it will stay there. It will bore into your brain, and you will never get it out. And so that's a sign that it's done something really good, because it's not annoying. It is annoying when you constantly humming it to yourself, but it's such a fun song, and everybody is on par of voiceover wise. You've also got Jessica Chastain, who does a voice, and Bryan Cranston, who also is in there. Sacha Baron Cohen, who does Julian, who's one of the characters in the film. He's really good. And the whole film is such an entertaining movie. If you're in a depressive kind of mood, watch this film. It will cheer you up no end. It's a very fun film.
Yeah, I have to completely agree with that. It's the best out of all three. You can watch it as well and not watch the other two, I think, and you just enjoy it as much. You just won't be...
I would just suggest that.
Yeah,
just
you
watch
won't be
the third
weighed
one
down
instead.
with the first two. Go quickly on to Savages, which is Oliver Stone's latest film, which is about sort of main three characters in the film. You have played by Blake Lively, who is in a sort of a weird love triangle relationship with Chon, played by Taylor Kitsch, and Ben, played by Aaron Johnson. Chon and Ben are basically guys who are in business as, well, basically they're drug dealers. They make drugs. They produce a quality product that is a much better high than a lot of other they produce weed, which is much higher quality because of the fact that Ben is a guy who basically knows his plants, knows how to grow them, and knows the best way to do it and such. Problems then arise when they end up sort of getting tangled in with the sort of Mexican cartel, who are then sort of trying to push in on their territory, get the details of how they create this really great drug. And to do this, what they do is they actually kidnap O, hold her for ransom, and try and arrange for Chon and Ben then to arrange to get the secrets and the details of how they grow their product off of them. While meanwhile, Chon and Ben are trying to figure out a way to get O back, which involves things like meeting up with a DEA agent played by John Travolta, so they can then get O back and essentially then kill the drug dealers, the cartel sort of members, amongst them of which is Benicio del Toro's character, who is a sort of an enforcer for the cartel. The thing with it is that Savages there's a lot of components here which should all make for a really good film, but it just comes out as average. It has issues with pacing. There's issues with the character that you're supposed to be caring about of O isn't especially a character that you, by the end of the movie, you're thinking, yeah, I really want to root for her. I really want her to be surviving, and really, really want her to be she's the one that you want to be following and interested in, and it's not. You have a really great performance in the film from Benicio del Toro, who is just disgusting as this character that he plays, who is a real lowlife, horrible. I mean, it's a credit to him that he plays such a disgusting character with such an effect. And you also have in there Selma Hayek, who plays sort of the head of the cartel, the one who's pulling all the strings. And she's in a role which she does what she can with it, but it's a wasted role. It's unfortunately it's not a great. The film, I did enjoy it, I have to admit, but the thing that really annoys me is when you get to the end, there's a weird thing that it does, and without spoiling it, I basically got to this point and I was like, yeah, okay, this is all right. And then at the end, this happened, and I was just like, you're kidding me, really? We're doing that now? And it's just, unfortunately, another one of these films where it has all what it needs there, it just isn't put together properly. It needed more work at the writing stage, it needed more work at editing, because it does run for 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it really should have been around about the 2 hour mark at the longest.
I agree, completely agree with that. That's scary. 2 films in a row that we've both agreed on. But yeah, I just felt it was a disjointed film, which was what you were getting at.
Yeah, I did like it, but it's especially, it probably would have been better if they just edited it better.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it needed more than 20 minutes cut off it. It needed a good 35, 40 minutes cut off it because there's parts in the film which was just unnecessary.
Mm.
Right, next film, Sinister. It's directed by Scott Derrickson. Previous films that he did was The Day the Earth Stood Still. He also did Hellraiser Inferno and The Exorcism of Emily Rose. So that gives you a clue of what kind of director he is. It stars Ethan Hawke, who plays... he's a writer. He specifically writes crime novels, and in this case he's decided to flip things around and write true crime novels. His original book was a big, massive success, but now he's lost his way. He can't write anything anymore. So he decides to pack up his family and then move to this house, not telling his family exactly what was wrong with this house, just to get supposedly inspiration for his next book. He wants to try and get back onto the scene again. However, they learn of a secret that happened in this house when he discovers this box containing loads of film footage of things that have gone on in this house, and specifically in other houses that tied to what's gone on in this house. Here's a clip.
What is happening?
Yeah, sorry there. I just had to play a clip like that, which might give you a kind of feeling of what the movie is like, because for the first 45 minutes of the film, it works. It works like you've heard in that clip just there. There is like genuine scares in the film. It builds up a lot of tension. It's just the kind of thing that Derrickson does with these previous films, specifically with The Exorcism of Emily Rose, because it's got an interesting idea, that movie, but it fails in its full-on concept. It just doesn't seem to deliver very well. Hellraiser Inferno is just completely forgettable anywhere. It's a terrible part of the Hellraiser series. It's a good film, Sinister, and it's an interesting film for Ethan Hawke to take on board, because it's not the kind of movie you would expect him to be in, and it's nice of him to choose a film like this to come back a little bit more. So it's a good choice for him to do. And like I said, for the first 45 minutes of the movie, it works, and it works really well. It's just let down with the last hour. And yes, it is on for about an hour and 50 minutes. And it drags. It really does drag a lot at the end. And it's well worth the watch. It's definitely well worth the watch. And you might jump a couple of times. But remember, like I said, it just becomes really generic at the end. I'm
going to quickly on. How are we doing for time? Have we got long enough?
We have around about 20 minutes.
Okay,
yep.
So we're not too bad then. To Rome with Love, which is a movie from Woody Allen, written and directed by him. It's a weird one to try and explain. That's why I'm asking how long I've got, because it's going to take me a little while. Essentially, what you have are 4 stories which are all set in the city of Rome, and you have these 4 different stories that are. One is a story of a girl who bumps in, played by Alison Pill, who bumps into a man. She asks him for directions. They end up walking along for a bit, and then it cuts to sometime later. And after a while, they have this relationship, and then they're engaged. And her parents come over to meet his parents, and everyone meet together. Her parents, played by Woody Allen and Julie Davis, who are over to visit them. You have another story where you have that's a weird thing trying to explain it. You have a guy who it's all in Italian because he lives in Rome. He one day he's bored with his life. He's predictable, average kind of guy, and he walks outside his house, and all of a sudden there's reporters there everywhere. They're asking him what he had for breakfast, what he decided to do, and asking really mundane things, but they're all sort of really blown away and all excited about his answers and things. And he's kind of like then in the limelight for no apparent reason. You have a character played by Alec Baldwin who's there with his wife and sort of visiting Rome after he was there when he was younger. He's sort of they're all going there for sort of sightseeing when he decides he's going to go off on his own instead and have a look around and visit his old sort of stomping grounds, where he then bumps into an architect played by I can't remember his name, but he played by I'm terrible with names.
Pass. I'm not going to reel you into this one because I have not seen the film.
No, it's the guy who played Mark Zuckerberg in Facebook film in I can't remember, but it's Jesse Eisenberg. Yes, thank you. And there's a weird thing going on, but there's a weird thing between the two of them where they have. It's kind of like this doesn't seem to be happening in reality, which is a hard thing to try and explain without giving away anything. And then you have this other story as well where a young married couple is considering moving to Rome after they're now married. They're there to visit his parents, and they're thinking to move to Rome from their little Italy town that they live from miles away. Now,
I'm just laughing at the moment. Alex has just put in the live chat there. This sounds as complicated as Facebook.
Well, it's the thing of it. I mean, you've got this whole thing of these 4 different stories, and I mean, in particular, the one that stands out is the one which has got Woody Allen's character who's there, and he meets up with his potential in-law family that he's going to be. His daughter's going to be marrying this guy from Italy, and when he's there, he hears his future in-laws. The father is in the shower and he's singing and thinks he sounds like an amazing opera singer, and he does. But he decides to take him out to a recording studio and try and convince him to do the recording studio. When he's in the recording studio, the guy cannot sing to save his life. It's a really bad performance. And when they come back, he's kind of questioning it and arguing with his future son-in-law as to why he did it. And here's a clip.
I don't want to say anything, but I told you. You choose projects that are doomed to fail. You get some kind of a payoff out of failing.
What projects do I choose that are doomed to fail?
Rigoletto, with everyone dressed like white mice.
Can you hear him? Is that not a gorgeous voice?
Sure. What good it is if he can only do it in the shower?
Well, but you admit he can...
He's right, Jerry. Everyone sings great in the shower.
That's right. He does it in the shower.
Dad, even you sing in the shower.
I know. In life, I have a terrible voice, but when I'm soaping myself in the hot water, I sound just like Eartha Kitt.
You look strange.
Phyllis, there's a psychological term for this. I'm having a breakthrough or an epiphany. What is the term for what I'm having?
A death wish.
So, I know it took a while explaining that because we were just talking with Stuart there about it. It's the thing that I had to because that's the only way I can really explain this film. And the problem with it is that these 4 stories have nothing to do with each other aside from the fact that they're all set in Rome. They're not linked. The people don't meet each other in them at any point, don't cross over timelines with each other. Nothing happens in it where they are. You could watch each of these 4 stories separately. You could watch one of them and that'd be you, and you'd be like, yeah, done. You're not missing anything if you just watch one of them, which is really kind of, it completely misses the point as to why it being in a film, why doing a film that's, a full-length film, if you're going to have these 4 stories that are in no way connected with each other, and they don't have any bearing on each other. They're just 4 stories set in the same place. They have a common theme, but you could easily have had just one of them be a long story, written it more and done it more. And I mean, the thing for me as well is I found recently with Woody Allen's last film, I can't remember the name of it, the one that was in Paris though, which I really did enjoy, because I don't like Woody Allen films, and the reason I don't like Woody Allen films is because I cannot stand Woody Allen. He annoys me on film. He's one of these people who, when his performance just infuriates me. And in this film, he's toned that down a bit. There's actually the story of the the married couple. He's found the Italian Woody Allen. He has found the guy that is basically doing his role in the Italian part, who's just as frustrating and just as annoying. It's a nice idea, but it just doesn't work. I honestly didn't see the point of having these 4 separate stories that were in no way connected. Why?
Yeah, why indeed. We have 3 more films to review, so I'd quickly get through them, considering one of them we've not reviewed before, and that's Beasts of the Southern Wild. It's directed by Ben Zelton, and it stars See, I told you I've got a horrible name. Quemzian. I think it's Quemzian Wallace.
I'm going to have
She's
a look.
She's an 8-year-old girl. Quemzian Wallace, who plays Hush Puppy, and Dwight Henry, who plays her father, Wink. Now, the reason why it's really hard to see...
Isn't that Quemzane? Because it's got the...
Quemzian? I don't know.
It's got the E with the thing above it. So...
Yeah, the umlaut.
Quemzane.
I haven't a clue. I'm just going to call her Quemzian until I hear her name read out at the Oscars this year. Their names are really weird because they've never acted before. What the director has decided to do is he's decided to get actors who nobody's actually heard of, who's never done anything in there, never done any acting at all, never even been trained to do any acting at all. The premise for Beasts of the Southern Wild is really simple, even though if you read the description on IMDb, it sounds complicated, but if you watch the film, it's not. It centres around Hush Puppy, who's a 6-year-old girl. She lives in a place called the Bathtub with her father. Now, the Bathtub is a place where only a few select people actually live, and they think that it's going to get flooded by the melting of the ice caps. And when the ice caps melt, it's going to release these huge, massive beasts, these boar-like beasts, which, according to their myths, came on the Earth 50,000 years prior, and they came to destroy the Earth. And when the ice caps melt, that's what these beasts happen. Unfortunately for Hush Puppy, her father contracts this disease, and he's slowly getting ill. But the government, after a huge, massive tidal wave, wants to try and get these families out of the bathtub itself to get them to more civilized society. But they want to spend their time in the place that they built themselves by hand and where they grew up. And the story does centre mainly on Hush Puppy and her plight with her father, plus her want to hunt down her mother, because she's never seen her mother since she was born. And she wants to hunt down her mother to find out who it is, because her father sort of like segregates himself off from her. He lives in a house which is different to her house. She has a house of her own where she keeps all of her belongings and stuff. And so it's mainly centred around the exploits of 6-year-old Hush Puppy. Now, I said to Andy before the show, I am going to mention this and I don't care. This is the closest you'll ever get to a live-action Studio Ghibli film. Yeah, I know Studio Ghibli has done Arrietty, which was based on The Borrowers, and there's the live-action thing about The Borrowers. But this is the closest thing you'll get to what Ghibli does themselves, what Ghibli create themselves. It's a visually lovely film to look at. It's absolutely brilliantly acted. Quenzian as Wallace, who plays Hush Puppy. She's up for a Best Actress Oscar at this year's Oscars. And for an 8-year-old, that's immense. She's the youngest person ever to be nominated for an Oscar. And she deserves it. She is absolutely fantastic in this movie. It's heartwarming. It's brilliant to look at. It's fantastically directed. It's excellently acted. It's just every kind of thing that you love about Ghibli films done live action. I couldn't recommend it enough.
Ruby Sparks, which is directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris. It stars Paul Dano as Calvin Weirfield, who is a writer. He's kind of a single writer. He's sort of his brother. He knows he's his only real friend that he has, who he meets up with every now and again, and he sort of has a very solitary life where it's just basically him and his dog that he has. You have this whole thing of he's just writing, plodding along, things seem fine. He starts having these weird dreams about a girl that he's never met before, never seen before, and he starts writing, because he's had sort of a writer's block, that he starts writing about this girl in the dream and writing a story about him and her and a kind of a love story thing between the two of them. When all of a sudden one day he has this weird thing where he sort of wakes up, goes downstairs, and she's there. She's standing there. She's there in front of him. She's physically there. He sort of has this thing where he's thinking he's going mad, and trying to figure out what's going on. He doesn't think she's really there. He thinks she's having hallucinations. And then he goes out and she's there, and it seems that other people can actually see her as well, which completely freaks him out. He comes back and he brings his brother to meet her, who then sees her, realizes that she's there as well, thinks that she's maybe someone who's just taking advantage of him, trying to rip him off or something. And the two of them sort of are outside then deciding what they're going to do next. Here's a clip.
Okay, there's got to be some logical explanation.
Oh, this isn't logical. No, but you know what it is? Physics. Or metaphysics, whatever. People don't appear out of thin air.
She did.
How?
I don't know how. It's love. It's magic.
What are you doing?
Calling your doctor.
Harry, don't. Harry.
Give me one.
Listen to me, please.
Do you remember what you told me when you met Susie? I certainly didn't pretend I invented her, Calvin.
You said that she was your dream girl. That's what happened to me.
Harry, don't laugh at me.
Has it occurred to you that she might be an imposter? That some girl maybe wanted to get close to you, somehow got her hands on what you wrote, and then decided...
You're the only one who's read my manuscript, so unless you're playing some terrible joke...
Okay. Let's say you created this person. Everything you wrote about her came true, even the smallest things?
Yes.
Have you tried writing more?
No.
Write something about her.
Why? She's perfect.
Write something about her and see if it comes true.
So one of the things that they do is they actually come up with a thing where they go upstairs. Calvin goes to his typewriter and types the thing that Ruby suddenly starts speaking French, and doesn't realise that she's speaking French. And lo and behold, she does start doing it, and he has this thing that realises then that what he writes actually does make her do, that he can actually influence her with his writing.
Sort of like an adult version of Penny Creon.
Where did you pull that from? I can't believe you pulled that one. Now, here's the thing with Ruby Sparks is that it has that idea, which is a very good idea. It's a simple, plain idea, but it takes far too long establishing that idea, establishing that point. You have this whole thing of that it focuses on the fact that he then has this thing where he does start to fall in love with her, and there's this question over whether or not there is meant to be this relationship between them, because as she becomes more of a real person, they sort of start to fall out of love, and things don't quite work properly between them. But the thing is, for me, is that there's the potential here for a much better, different film that was kind of missed, and there was I mean, this could have been a very dark film. And there's a scene later on in the film where it goes to that darkness to that point, and I was like, oh, this is kind of getting interesting now, but it was too late, really. It had taken too long to get to the point that I was starting to actually get interested in it. And it's one of those films where I don't think it's really an editing thing, because they could have edited it, but it's not a long film. It is only an hour and 40 odd minutes, and if they cut it down a lot, where at the start it would have been less than an hour and a half. And I think it probably would have felt rushed then. It really just doesn't have a proper ending to it. It leaves off with a sort of left off to be continued and not continued, which is why I sort of have that issue with it. It's well sort of acted, and it has moments in it where it's kind of a little funny. There's a whole thing where they go and meet his parents, who are played by Annette Bening and Antonio Banderas, who have sort of small roles in it, but they're perfectly fine in it as well. It's just that, for me, I just wanted more.
Yeah, I'm going to have to really race through this. The final film, it's The Three Stooges. It's directed by Bob and Peter Farley, and it centres around the Three Stooges. Curly, Moore, and Larry, both all played by Sean Hayes, Will Sasso, and Chris Diamantopoulos. So I get the worst names tonight. And at the start of the film, they're orphans. They're put on the step of an orphanage as babies. They grow up in this orphanage, the typical kind of things. If you've seen any of the Three Stooges, all the slapstick humour, smacking themselves across the face, etc. They've grown up. They've now become the janitors of that. They find out that the orphanage is going to be closed down because the money that they've been given is now dried up. They decide to set off into the big world to try and find the money. They get embroiled into a sort of like a murder plot, and one of them ends up on a reality TV show, a bit like the Jersey Shore. That's the plot of the film. It's not funny. Simple as. It is not funny. Even though you've got the slapstick kind of humour, if you know the Three Stooges, you know that slapstick kind of humour. Just go back and watch the black and white films from the 40s, the 30s and 40s and 50s, or watch the old black and white TV programme. That's much more funny. The only thing the Farley brothers have got correct with this film is the three actors who they've decided to choose to play each one of the Three Stooges. That is correctly done. The rest of the film is completely avoidable. It's not funny at all. There's one funny joke in the movie which involves a lion's testicles, and that's it. Just don't watch it.
So they've basically taken the Blues Brothers and done it with the Three Stooges.
Worse. Blues Brothers 2000 more like it. And done it with the Three Stooges. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
So time for Andy's TV movie of the week.
Yeah, and I mean it's an oldie and it's a classic, and people will probably have already seen it plenty of times. I don't care. I'm still saying it. Die Hard. Well, Die Hard and Die Hard 2, because they're both on this week. Obviously, with a lineup with A Good Day to Die Hard coming out on Thursday in the cinema.
12 here, unfortunately.
Yeah, we were talking about this, but we don't have time to go into that now. Die Hard is on Film 4 at 9 o'clock on Tuesday the 12th, and Die Hard 2 is at 9 o'clock on Wednesday the 13th. So I would say if you've not seen them, I mean, where have you been? But if you have seen them and you're looking for something to watch this week and you feel like watching them, definitely check them out. Because, I mean, how can you go wrong with the two best Die Hard films, as far as I'm concerned? And, I mean, they'll be fantastic. I love them. They're great. Die Hard is the classic. It is the film that started off the genre.
Yep, yippee-ki-yay, motherfudgers. Right, I have a couple of shout-outs to make. Eddie UK, he asked me to do him a shout-out, and also Jim Mondo on Twitter. Also, follow at Sarin Foundation on Twitter. They have a website, sarinfoundation.org.uk. They've just redesigned it. It's a charity. If you can donate money to that charity, I highly recommend you do. They do brilliant things for charity, for the charity that they've set up, so definitely do that. We also have a few friends. You've heard the advert for the Lolacost. They're at lolacost.co.uk on a Friday night at 11 o'clock on Spreaker. You've also got thegamescast.com, which is on at 9 o'clock, so you've got a double header of games and surrealness, let's just say. There's also Following the Nerd, which is on a Thursday night at 9 o'clock at followingthenerd.com. You can find their player at the top of their website. They've been having a few troubles with the original player that they had, and they went with a different kind of thing, so it's slightly harder to find, but as soon as they go live, their link goes live at the top of their website. And you've also got From Page 2, as in the number 2, screen.com, which I do their podcast on a Sunday night, and it's normally up on iTunes on a Tuesday or Wednesday, so check that out as well. Before we disappear, movie of the week, Andy.
I'm kind of stuck between... it's not Warm Bodies. I kind of want to say Hitchcock, but not because it's going to have to be Wreck-It Ralph, but I don't know. Wreck-It Ralph, but I'm conflicted between Wreck-It Ralph and Hitchcock.
I'm going to cop out slightly, and even though Wreck-It Ralph is such a fun film, I see it steer at home and get a double header of Madagascar 3 and Beasts of the Southern Wild. So those two are mine.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to say Wreck-It Ralph, although if you like Hitchcock and you like that kind of thing, then see Hitchcock, but if not, Wreck-It Ralph.
So Andy's gone with the cinema one and I've gone with DVD one, so at least you've got two different movies of the week and you've got your choice there. So thanks for listening to the show this week. We will be back usual time 7:30 next week with the cinema and Blu-ray and DVD parts of the show. So until then, goodbye.
Bye-bye.